Hello backers, Dan here, Iron Kitten Games, and I wanted to show off what I recently received, the pre-production copy. This is from the manufacturer. It includes all of the printed components as well as all of the sourced components. There's a few things that are still left to be done. This is kind of that first that you get to see. So what you see is obviously not going to be final, but I'm pretty excited about it, so I wanted to show it off. Start out with this box. It's very close to the render that you saw during the Kickstarter. Oops. Flipped it over. But you can see they did a really excellent job. Let's see if I can get that reflection in there of the spot gloss shine on the letters and on a couple select other places. So really happy with those. Colors are pretty nicely saturated, exactly what I was looking for. Box quality is certainly pretty hefty. It's kind of typical to what you'd see from a lot of modern board games, but it's also pretty cool to see that. First thing we see out of here, what'll be on the top, is the rule book. Pretty nice and glossy. Kind of, you can see you've got the English and then German and French there at the end, with the English kind of the player reference guide there on the back, so you can easily find it. Looks really good, fits really nicely. Next up underneath are all of the punch boards. So this game has 6 sheets of punch boards. This includes all of the building tiles. These are the expansion tiles, all the coins, and all of the scoring items, which up here you see the 2 end game scoring, and then you've got the lap scoring here. Again, colors are well saturated. I've gone over everything and all the details are there. Let's see. One thing to note is these are actually not punched. You can kind of see from the reflection. The die cut is not completed yet, but this is to make sure that everything looks good. The blue lines you see on there will not appear in the final thing. Those are just showing where they'll be cut. So you can see plenty of coins, 1s, 5s, 10s, 25s. Yep, and a variety of stuff. The idea behind these is after you've punched them, when you've received the game, you take these blank kind of trees that come off of these and you'd put them underneath the insert. So we'll get to that, but next up is the beautiful board. This is a trifold board. It kind of represents that overhead shot of the conference room table where all the pieces will go. Very well made, constructed, nice and thick. Pretty happy with the way that looks as well. And last up from what I have here are all of the sourced components. At first we've got a bag full of the rockets and crystals. They look pretty nice. And then all of the wood components are awesome. They're looking really good. The one thing I will note is most of the colors of these are getting slight tweaks. So astronauts are getting a little bit darker to differentiate them a little bit more from the air tanks. The air tanks are actually going to get a little whiter. They're a subtle gray. The blue water drops are a little too teal, so they're going to be a little bit more blue. And the rocks, which are a pretty pure black at this point, is being brought back to a more normal gray. So again, 10 each resource and a bunch of these astronauts. They'll all come separate, a lot of these rockets and crystals, and then the player pawns and dice. So it's kind of fun to see this special die that's got the 111223. You know, that's Spot there. That's where the die always rests. He's Spot the die. And then the red solo die for when you're playing solo. And then the player pawns, the shapes of them are really good. They're that custom little shape. The colors, pretty much all off. So that was between the fault of our specifications and what they were actually hitting. Those are all getting tweaked, and we will get new samples before, of course, we move to production. Now this just has the basic tray in here. We're actually about a week out from seeing the fancy tray and test fitting everything. But one thing I wanted to make sure is for people who are getting just the basic tray, make sure all the components fit. So I have prototype versions of all the punch pieces that are all actual size, and I forgot to mention, it will come with most likely enough baggies to bag them separately. In my case, I did them together. So if we put in all the tiles on one side, as well as you might even be able to put the coins in on one side. Then on the other side you can put all the components and the lap scoring. Actually, probably can fit the coins just fine on that side. Then the board would go on top. This would go on there, and you can see it fits perfectly fine. No issues here. Everything looks pretty nice. So, oh, and I wanted to point out a little helpful hint here, if you can read it. During first assembly, after removing cardboard pieces, place empty cardboard sprues under insert to better hold components in tray. That'll be the case for both the fancy tray as well as this cardboard tray. That way everything gets held up a little higher and you don't get anything sliding around. This board isn't moving around within the box. So again, this is all looking very good. I'm very happy with the quality of everything. There are a few additional tweaks that'll have to be made, but I'll keep all you backers in the loop as we get those as well. So thanks for watching.